Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Cup. I am so excited today because I have Cassandra Rosa with me. And Cassandra Rosa is an intuitive certified life and business coach. She helps female entrepreneurs create fulfilling businesses with clarity and confidence. Her coaching practice, she loves to teach her clients how to clarify their path to their purpose, connect to their inner confidence, and create the fulfilling business that they daydream about. Cassandra Rosa is a healer, Reiki master, and award-winning speaker, award-winning author of the book, Now What? Create the Clarity to Achieve Your Dreams. Cassandra is also a podcast host of her personal development and business podcast called Clarity Conversations. It's available on all major podcast platforms, and you can check her out at her website, which is www.cassandrarosa.com, to learn more about her coaching. Thank you so much for being here today, Cassandra.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
I'm excited to have you. So I would love to just dive into your journey. How did you get today where you are based off of your journey?
Yeah, so long story short, from a young age, I knew I wanted to make a difference in the world. I didn't know what that meant. I did the mainstream way of doing things, went to university, thought maybe I'll be a psychologist. And halfway through my degree, I had a huge now what moment. And I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with my life. So I ended up doing some traveling, and I volunteered in Namibia, Africa at an after-school program with kids. And that's where I really started to get a taste of what mentorship could be like. But at that time, I had no idea personal development existed. So like a lot of people, in their mid-20s, I was like, okay, well, I guess I need to get a job, make a lot of money. Maybe I'll create a foundation one day. So I did insurance. That was the family business. And I would just be cold calling and daydreaming about like traveling and doing something big and meaningful with my life. And funny enough, when I started to become curious about that, personal development fell into my lap, and I realized this was for me. It would be my way to give advice to people, be a teacher like I always wanted to be, and make an impact on the world. So since 2019, I've been full-time, traveling, working from my laptop, and having my dream clients. And it really lights me up and really motivates me to help inspire other women to create fulfilling lives and businesses instead of being stuck in those 9 to 5s they may not be passionate about.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing that too, because there's a lot to unpack there. But I think, it triggered a thought for me when you first started speaking about now what, like when you were in school to pursue psychology. And that's exactly what happened to me, quite honestly, after I had gotten all the degrees. And I was like, this isn't for me. And I changed my whole life. But I love that you really listened to yourself. And like, yes, you got the job and you realized very quickly that you were meant for more. There was another platform that you wanted to really be able to help people and fulfill their lives, but also yours too, and making that happen. And so what was that like for you to like kind of jump ship and you're like, all right, it's time to make that change? Like, what was that now what moment for you? So people listening might be like, oh yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah, the qualifications in Canada changed to become a psychologist. And I just got this gut response that I didn't want to be in the mainstream school system forever. And I just felt like there was more that I could do. I think it was my intuition, like really speaking to me loud and clear of there's something more. And the curiosity started to happen, and the detachment, if you will, to where my focus was with school, and started to become curious about more possibilities. And I think that that's what happens for a lot of people. It may start off as being really unsatisfied in your job, or not getting the grades you wanted to get in school, or whatever that may be. And starting to see where your focus lies is a great way to connect with what may be your next step.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that too. And I'm curious, for people that don't know what an intuitive life coach is, can you expand on that?
So I've always had a very intuitive gift, a good read about people, really good sense of energy. And I went on my own kind of spiritual journey around the same time I was launching my business. And when I had my first launch, it wasn't as successful as I thought. And when I realized that I had to integrate all parts of myself to show up authentically in my business, that's when things really skyrocketed for me. So as an intuitive life coach, I'm not only giving practical tools, but I'm also like infusing card readings and meditations and Reiki and different healing modalities. So it really helps my clients to integrate everything on all levels in the process. So both mentally and practically with the action steps, but also integrating it in on all levels of their thoughts, their feelings, and their energy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because it's not just one thing, right? When we start a business but being able to authentically be ourselves and immerse that. And because sometimes that can be really challenging depending on your background or where you're coming from to start a business. So when you started incorporating all elements to like after the first launch might have not gone as planned, but when you did start to implement all these things, what was that like for you? Like, what did you start to feel when that switch happened?
Yeah, I think it was like that setback, if you will, that happened. It happens for a lot of people, like your intuition, the universe, God, whatever you believe in is kind of putting you in the right direction. So once I started to, pull cards for my clients, one day I had a deck out and I just kind of intuitively felt, hey, can I pull a oracle card for you just to give you some clarity and guidance? And they absolutely loved it. And then one piece after the next, it was card readings on every session. Then it was meditation. Then it was infusing Reiki. So it was a very gradual process, but then as I like stepped back after the first few sessions of integrating that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And my clients were like, we need this on every session. So it happened really naturally.
Oh, I love that. Was there any like resistance on your end to like start incorporating that?
Well, yeah, I guess like when you go on a spiritual journey and maybe your whole circle isn't as spiritual as you are, there's kind of those fears of, that black sheep of the group feeling of like, I don't want to be this crazy woo-woo woman, like talking about like when there's a new moon and a full moon and pulling cards and all of that. That came up very briefly, but then the more that I stood in my authenticity, the more it affected my clients' results. And then I realized, no, this is me. I have to fully integrate it, not just for myself, but also for my clients' results.
Oh, well, I love that you listen to yourself because sometimes that voice inside of us, we might ignore it, but I love that you just really took that on. And because a lot of people in the spiritual world, like I love stuff, everything spiritual as well. And I have some friends that are really into it and some that aren't. And sometimes it's like that woo woo and like, oh, I don't know. But I think when you do immerse yourself into it and you're open to it, so much can shift if you just look a little closer. And that's what I'm hearing too. Like, and especially that the clients that you had really were receptive to it as well for their business to grow and just to see maybe pitfalls that they weren't seeing before and closing those gaps as well.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So I would love to hear a little bit more about your book because I know you kind of touched on it, but you could share a little more with us.
Yeah, so it's called Now What? Create the Clarity to Achieve Your Dreams. It's available on Amazon worldwide. And what led me to create this book was to share just some personal stories of how I overcame those now what moments, those transitional moments where you know that you're being called for more and you're trying to like let go and take that empowered step. So it's has a lot of personal stories, but I also wanted you to be able to have a pen and do exercises inside of it. So it's a very immersive experience. So if you complete the book from start to finish and you do the exercises, it's really created to intend that you have a moment of clarity of what your next steps can be and giving you that empowered, confident action towards it. So it came out in 2020, right in the midst of the pandemic, when a lot of people are going through now what moments, and I've only had amazing feedback from the readers. So yeah.
That's incredible. And what was that journey like actually writing the book? Because I know there's a lot of people listening that they're doing a lot of things, but maybe that's their next step to write a book.
Yeah. So I was in a meditation circle. This was in 2018. And I was going through this this moment where I was like, okay, I don't know what my next step should be for my life, for my business. And I heard loud and clear in the meditation, start a book. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's the last thing I want to do after being in university and writing all these crazy, long essays and stuff. I know you get it with psychology, right?
Yeah.
And then, so anyways, I ended up reaching out to a friend that wrote a book, and there was a publisher based out of Toronto, and they had their seminar to get your book done and published literally days after this meditation download. So it was a couple of a year process of writing, very push and go. I evolved as the book was evolving, which is beautiful. And there was certain things like the pandemic that those realizations that had to be included in the book. It was actually supposed to come out earlier, and then all my edits disappeared. So it was like a gift to, again, like push it back for like the divine timing. But it was fun. It was a beautiful process that I got to evolve and introspect and authentically share the things that helped me so that I could help others too with their moments.
Oh, I love that. And I would love for you to share a little bit more about like your clientele, like who, I know you work with female entrepreneurs, which is what we love to like just empower one another, but what does it look like with going through a process of working with you?
Yeah, so it's female entrepreneurs, and not just female entrepreneurs, but women that want to make a difference with their business. So if they're a coach, if they're a healer, if there's a service provider that really wants to make an impact, that seems to be the common thread of the people I work with. And I work, like I was saying, very holistically in all of my courses to give practical tools that really help you to clarify your path to fulfilling your mission and help you build confidence so that you can be your most empowered and fulfilled version of yourself every step of the way, and then helping them get their businesses started in a simple and authentic way so that they can shine their mission and their light with the world. So I have like a 3-month program that I do, and they include lots of meditations and card readings and simple tools and support from whether it's a group container or me one-on-one.
Well, I do love that approach too, because it's not just one way, because everyone learns so differently or experiences things differently as well. And I'm curious because I know you have a podcast too, and I love the title of it, it's Clarity Conversations, right?
Yeah.
Like I had to think for a second. But could you explain too, like what that's all about as well? I know conversations, but kind of dive into that.
Yeah, so I have tons of different entrepreneurs that are living their fulfilling life and business come on, and they share a little bit about their moments of clarity of when they understood what their path and their purpose was. And they share about all these different types of modalities and things that they're versed in and give practical knowledge for the listeners. And I also have episodes that I record on my own, giving advice to previous versions of myself of how I would have navigated certain situations and now what moments as well. Which is always interesting to record and reflect on and introspect on. And yeah, it's available everywhere where podcasts are.
Love that. And was it hard to start your podcast?
Again, it was just like a natural next step in the pandemic when, we were all in lockdown. I just got into creation mode, and I had a lot of friends with podcasts that I was being guests on, and I fell in love with them. And I was like, you know what, I want to start one too. And just kind of went for it and let it evolve as all the episodes were recorded. And yeah.
Love it. I feel like everything's been very like a smooth sailing trip for you down the entrepreneur journey. Would you say that's true? Was there any like stops or any like ups or downs as well when you were going through the process in the beginning?
Yeah, I would say like I started my first business when I was like 21, creating vision boards, workshops with kids and community centers and schools. And that was a whole different entrepreneurial journey. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. I had a business partner at the time. We went our separate ways. So that was like the first hurdle to overcome. And then just learning all the tech and moving through the mindset stuff. I had imposter syndrome hit me hard in the beginning, being like, why don't they just work with Tony Robbins or like Bob Proctor? Like, why would they work with little old me that like, ageism also was something too, like having clients much older than me. And for me, being so young and accomplishing so much is what they would say, you know, having that like weird ages and things. So there's been different things every step of the way, because I find whenever you grow and evolve to your next level, that's when your ego comes in screaming most, with the doubts and the fears and the imposter syndrome and all that. So learning my process to be able to move through that was really powerful. But when you're in those moments, those can be a little bit more bumpy, let's just say.
Absolutely. No, and I agree with you. I feel like every next level, it's like a new version of yourself where you have to like put the ego aside, and imposter syndrome can come into play, especially as you up level. I'm curious, how did you get past imposter syndrome?
So I was in a seminar. I'll tell you a short story. So we had to do this like group martial arts routine in unison. There's 50 people. And this was the end of the day at this like a retreat like event. And so we were all doing it, and there was this girl beside me, and she kept messing up. She was the reason we had to keep doing it over and over. And I wasn't versed in martial arts at all, but I had a good friend of mine that was in my site that I knew she had like 10 years of experience. So I was modeling her. I wasn't perfect. I didn't have all my years of expertise like she did. But I was learning from her by watching her. And then it got to this point where I tapped the girl beside me on the shoulder and I said, okay, model what I'm doing. I think I got it. So I wasn't the 10-year, 12-year experience like my friend was, but I was only a few steps ahead of her. And in a couple of rounds, she perfected it herself. So that was like one of the most transformational moments for me, because it made me realize you don't need to be Tony Robbins. You don't need to be Bob Proctor. You don't need to be all these big people that have all these years of experience to be able to help someone. You just need to be a few steps ahead where someone else is.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. It's so true, because we are like maybe looking at people that are 100 steps ahead of us when it's just a few steps ahead. And because that's how we're able to help others as well. So I'm curious, kind of going back to the intuitive piece with coaching, how do people get more clarity? I know you have a lot of tools, but what are some of the main things that are important to gaining clarity when they're working on their business and growing their business?
I think that with every single person I've worked with, they have some spark of interest or knowing of what they want to do. I think the clarity piece is unlearning and like detaching from all the other funky stories and beliefs and feelings and patterns inside of ourselves. So it's really like looking at, if you were the most confident version of yourself, who would you be? What would you do? And then kind of releasing what are the thoughts and feelings and beliefs that are standing in the way of you achieving that. So as much as people think they have to go on this elaborate quest to find their purpose and what they're supposed to do, most people know at some degree or have some sort of curiosity. It's just letting go of all the resistance that's in the way.
Yes, there can be a lot of resistance. That's for sure. I'm sure you see that in the beginning too. I'm curious, could you give maybe an example or two of like a current or past client that you had a lot of success of them, like kind of having that moment of like, oh, I get it now, or the clarity started to come in?
Yeah. So I had this client, Sammy, that she's taken multiple courses with me. And it was always, she always was like, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my purpose is. And sessions after and over, we would be like, okay, what's your interest? And she would be like, oh, you know, I really wish I could just teach yoga at the beach. Like that's all she wanted to do. Yeah. So as time progressed, I was like, just play, go and join a yoga class in person and go and just have fun with it and fall deeper in love with it and try it on and see how it would feel. Before you know it, she got certified and she's been teaching classes in her yoga studio now and has applied for all these different opportunities abroad to go and teach yoga. So it was one of those moments where we worked through a lot of those blocks that were in her way, and she really decided to own and embody what it is that she truly wanted. And yeah, so that's a beautiful success story that comes to mind.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. And I love what the term you used too. It's like, try it on, because we never know if we don't actually try and like put the effort in, because we can say everything we want, but it's that action. And I love that you were guiding her to really removing the blocks that were like any thoughts she had around it or any resistance, but being able to completely remove that. And now look at her thrive. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I believe it. And I appreciate you sharing the success that you've been able to help her achieve as well. And her doing the work, of course, because that's the other part of it, right? Not just like being able to coach our clients, but being able to really have them participate. Have you ever had a client that maybe in the beginning was very resistant to your coaching and you were able to move past that pretty quickly?
Yeah, for sure. When it's interesting, when you work with the right coach, sometimes all your stuff comes up. It's like you had this like invitation and you took the invitation that the universe gave you. And then it was that person that enrolled, really stepped into it and became the person to receive all the knowledge. So everything bubbled up. It's like, those like a pop bottle, soda bottle,
Yeah.
and you take it and boom, like all this stuff came. So that can be a lot to work through. But as things have progressed, I can think of a few clients that, they started to surrender and deal with one thing at a time that was coming up for them. They were able to get massive results. So yeah.
Beautiful. And it's amazing when they can get past that. And I think that's just, it's part of the journey. It's really like going through the mud and like just getting through the sticky part, but like coming out stronger and feeling more free too. I'm sure when they have that clarity that you're able to help guide them too as well. So I'm curious, I know you mentioned that you do cards as well as part of one of your tools. For people that don't know what that is, I know like we've talked about it on here before, but I would love for you to explain like how you use them.
Yeah. So oracle cards or angel cards, like I'll show you. So here's a deck, for example. So why don't I just pull one here?
Yeah.
So anybody can read cards. You don't need a special gift. It's not complicated. Just go to your local metaphysics store and pick up a deck that captures your attention. It makes you curious. So you can just like shuffle the cards and then you just let your intuition guide. So this one stuck. So I feel like this is the card that's meant to be shared. So this one says, letting go. Everything is indeed out of control and God will hold it all. I can safely let go. So sorry, it's backwards, but that's the card. So you kind of just set an intention. So in my mind, I was saying like, what's the message that's meant to come through for the people watching? And that's what came through. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's just true. Like what we're talking about as well. Like we've been talking a lot about resistance and like maybe somebody watching too has a lot of resistance around something and being able to let that go. And that's a beautiful card too, as well. I love the artistry of all of them. They're beautiful, but it is true. It's when we do let go, that's where sometimes the clarity can come in as well. I know that's happened in my past as well, when I'm like so focused on something. And then as soon as I let go, it's like everything unfolds. I'm like, oh, if I just listen to my own intuition.
Exactly. 100%.
Well, I do have just like one more question and then we'll jump into the rapid fire questions because I've been loving this conversation.
Me too. Yeah.
But what are some of the main tips that you can leave people with today around just being intuitive and really going after their dreams?
Say yes to opportunities. So if you're seeking more out of life, just say yes to whatever opportunities come your way. So maybe it's to read a book that a friend offered you, or listen to a podcast, or watch a YouTube video, something as simple as that. Whatever comes your way, just say yes and see what the universe or God or whatever you believe in is gifting you with in that moment. It's really important to set an intention of your focus, of where you want your focus to lie, and a powerful intention or goal, if you will. So if you want to focus on business, if you want to focus on personal development or creating a self-care routine, whatever that may be, set that and then see what resistance is there. So ask yourself kind of what we were talking about earlier, what thoughts and feelings and actions are getting in the way of me achieving that? And then just take a step towards what you want, as baby of a step it may be. If you want to start a business, start an IG page, or, connect with other entrepreneurs and ask them how they did it so that you can create that momentum.
Wise words. Thank you, Cassandra.
You're welcome.
Definitely write those down and start embodying them. But to get into the rapid fire questions, are you ready for them?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. The first question is, who is your hero?
Who is my hero? I would say my parents are my heroes. They're first generation. Well, my dad was born in Italy and he came to Canada when he was 8 years old. And I think they overcame a lot to get to where they are and create the beautiful future for my sister and I. And I anchor in that with gratitude because they had to persevere and go through a lot to get to where they are.
Well, that's amazing. And it's very hard to, I've just spoken to a lot of immigrants as well and just their journeys. And it's so incredible what your parents have been able to create for you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
So what motivates you to work smarter?
Work-life balance is huge. In my first year of business, I burnt out. I was just go, 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 Energizer bunny. It was like out of control. So to work smarter and more efficient with my time is important to me so that I can be the best me and I can be the best coach and be of the best service to my clients. If I don't fill up my cup first and I overwork myself and work too hard instead of working smart, it affects everyone.
You're absolutely right. It is about putting yourself at the top of the priority list, as I like to say.
Yes.
So if you were to be a superhero, what would be your power or powers?
To fly. I just love travel. I'm a travel junkie. It would just be cool just to see things from a new perspective and get to where I need to go without having to deal with going to the airport and all that comes with the travel, the logistics of travel. No booking tickets, no waiting in line for customs. See ya, I'm there.
I love that. No, I mean, because a lot of people have said like teleporting, but flying too. I love that because you can see things too. I love that perspective, but you're right. There's no lines. Like I'm going tomorrow on a plane and I'm like, I wish I could fly there. Like legit. One day it's in the works. I feel we're going to have like programs in us or something.
For sure.
So if you were to share a meal with any 4 individuals, living or dead, who would they be?
4. Okay. My grandfather, he passed away when I was young and everybody says I'm just like him. Bob Proctor. He's from Toronto, like I am from Canada. I've seen him speak so many times. I just feel like there's so much more wisdom that we could tap into. This is a hard question. This is really making me think on my feet here. 4 people. No, this is a good question. Like, I don't know, like a monk, you know?
Yeah.
Just to learn about like stillness and like deepening meditation practices, I think would be amazing. And another person that's really random coming to mind is Shawn Mendes, the singer. He's from Canada too. And lately I've been learning about like how intuitive he is and like the art. Like I appreciate the art of his music. So I think that would be cool too. This is the most random table I've ever heard.
It would be interesting though. I will say that.
Hilarious dinner party to go to.
I might join if you don't mind.
Yeah, please come. It'll be fun.
That's awesome. I had no idea he was really intuitive.
Yeah, he went to like a big meditation retreat for like a week of like just meditating. I don't know. It's cool. Things, random things you learn when you're on YouTube, right?
You never know what you're going to come across.
Right. This interview or random YouTube things.
Exactly.
So that wasn't the most thought out answer, but that was meant to come through today.
You know what? That's all that matters. I love when it's just free flowing. It's very intuitive. So what is the most daring thing that you've ever done?
I've done lots of daring things in my life, I have to say, but I moved to Europe for a study exchange by myself. I didn't know anybody. So how old was I? Maybe like 18, something like that, maybe when I did that. And everybody thought I was crazy because they're like, it's pretty gutsy. So I don't know. I think life is meant to be lived and it's important to do those daring out of your comfort zone things so that you can have different experiences and results that most people don't have.
100%. Very well said. I appreciate that because I think it is about that growth, right? We don't grow unless we push ourselves out of our comfort zone. And I'm curious, where in Europe did you live?
The Netherlands.
Oh,
so it was fun.
Wow. Well, when I plan my trip, I'm going to have to reach out to you.
Yes, please. Europe tips, let me know.
Perfect. I'm glad I have an inside scoop.
Yeah.
So what is the phone app that you use the most?
Probably Instagram. I love talking to, the people on my page in the DMs. I love creating content there, and it hasn't always been that way. I used to be like kind of scared of social media, but now I enjoy the process of doing that. And it's great to see and connect with a lot of international friends like I've made, in Europe and stuff like that, and connecting with people and seeing what's up and showing them love on all of their growth and their opportunities that they have as well.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. What is the last book that you've read?
The last book that I read. So it's this, I guess, like short stories, kind of tidbits, poem type of book. It's called Clarity and Connection by Young Pueblo. It's,
yeah.
You know that book?
Yeah.
I would just read a few every day and just like, I don't know. I love the words, and I still from time to time, like open up the book to a random page and just see what message is there. So, yeah.
Yes. No, he's a fantastic writer.
Oh yeah.
I like always follow his stuff.
Yeah. On Instagram too. It's good to get those reminders when they come up on your feed.
Absolutely.
All the good vibes. Yeah.
Yes. Divine timing.
Yes, exactly.
So if you were to have a movie about your life thus far, who would play you?
The first person that's coming to mind is Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah, I could actually see it. There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, we got the
Like,
curly hair.
Yeah.
I was a really, really into High School Musical when I was a kid. So, she's the first one that came to mind.
Well said. What is your favorite family recipe, whether it's traditional or you like to make together as a family?
So my grandmother used to make these chocolate cookies with sprinkles on it, and the whole extended huge Italian family would always like rush to the house whenever they knew that she was making them. They would just magically appear. So yeah, it's a crowd favorite, and it's a very memorable time in my childhood of making those with her. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to be an animal, like personality type wise, what animal would you be?
Totally a lion. Totally.
Why a
when
lion?
I was in Africa, I saw them like maybe 10 feet away from me. And I was like, it brought me to tears that moment. And I don't know, the hair, and I don't know. Maybe I was a lion in a past life or something. I feel
it's possible.
Yeah.
I love it. So what is, if you were to have a day off and you're not seeing clients, what's your favorite way to spend that day off?
In nature, bubble baths, self-care day, going out with friends, trying new restaurants, having a nice glass of wine, and yeah, just a chill, relaxing, and grounding day with the people I love most, and hanging out with my dog too. I don't know if you keep hearing him in the background, all the sighing. I have a little puppy, so he's very social. So he would be all about all of that too.
I'm sure. Sounds like a great day.
Yeah.
My final question is, what is something an outsider wouldn't know about your industry?
What's in? I don't think unless you're in it, you can really understand how empowering it is and how fulfilling it is. To help somebody have a light bulb moment, to help somebody to transform their lives and the lives of their families and create a massive ripple effect. of, you're impacting one life and they're impacting all the rest. Yeah, it's just so fulfilling. It's so impactful. It's so powerful. And I'm really grateful to be a part of it. And I wish if people feel called, if they're on the fence about wanting to do that, it's something really powerful that you don't understand until you're in it, for sure.
Well, I'm sure your clients are very grateful for you, and I'm grateful for you being on today. But
Thank
before I let
you.
you go, I have one final question.
Okay.
Where can people find you, hire you? Everything's going to be linked below, but if you could let us know too.
So Instagram, I hang out there all the time. It's Cassandra Rosa. A is my handle. My website's cassandrarosa.com to learn about all my different offerings. My podcast is Clarity Conversations. My book, Now What? Create the Clarity to Achieve Your Dreams, is on Amazon. And yeah, I would be really excited to connect with any of you if you're looking to finally create that fulfilling life and business that you're daydreaming about. I would love to support you on your journey.
Well, thank you so much, Cassandra, for taking the time today to come on here and share your journey, share everything that you're up to as well. It's a complete honor. And thank you again for being on.
I had a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Well, make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. What was the biggest takeaway from Cassandra? What did you learn that you might have not known before? Leave it below so she can see too, and respond as well. But thank you again for joining, and we'll see you on the next video.
See you. Bye.